Jim Rickards explained what's going to happen with the inflation and how it is going to affect the future economy. He said that the US is the largest economy in the entire world. The dollar is the leading reserve currency. So what goes on in the United States affects the entire world. It's the greatest inflation debate, inflation versus deflation debate. You can't open a website to look at any financial journalism without hearing about it, and it's a big deal for a lot of reasons. It affects investment decisions and net worths and portfolios and so forth. But if you knew inflation was coming, if you were sure that that's what was going to happen, you would know exactly what to do with your portfolio. If you thought outright deflation or even disinflation, just a declining rate of inflation heading towards zero was coming, you would know exactly what to do. But the point is, when it's up in the air, when except for debate, both sides are sort of having their day, and the everyday investor is sort of sitting there, saying, what's it going to be? The inflationists have the upper hand, not substantially, but in terms of the debate. There are far more articles, commentaries, keynotes, interviews about inflation, and they have some data on their side. It's not just made up the April inflation numbers. We have CPI, PPI, PCE core, and NCore. We have 5 or 6 prominent measures of inflation, not to count all the most historic ones. They were all hot in April and May, some cases the highest in 20 years, 10 to 15 years in some cases. There's the data, it's going to get worse, says Jim. He also adds up that inflation is here to stay. Commodities are going to boom, oil prices are going to soar, bonds are going to crash. The great bond market crash that they have been talking about for 40 years because the bull market started in 1981. It's still going strong, but it is the end of the bond bull market, and then question ramifications for gold. So if you thought that was true, you would probably buy commodities, real estate. You would not want bonds. You would be dumping bonds. You would probably buy stocks. You would be dumping gold, etc. There's a whole set of things you would be doing at the same time. The deflationist or disinflation, as the case may be, the view there is that April and May were hot, no question about it. The data is right there. But the first thing you have to discount for what are called base effects. When the US reports inflation, everybody knows the headline number is 3.6% or 5 points. It was high. It was kind of a 3 to 5% range. But when that's reported, it's year over year. So that when you hear a May inflation number, it's May 2021 compared to May of the previous 2020. When you hear the April inflation number, it's April 2021 compared to April 2020. What was happening in April and May of 2020? The greatest economic collapse since 1946. Prices were plunging. The airlines were not even flying. Housing had a collapse March 2020. The stock market collapsed, so prices were dropping. A year later, of course, they are going up. You would expect that, and a lot of that is not kind of new inflation or sustainable inflation. You fall in a 50-foot hole. You climb up 50 feet, but you are back where you started. So with the climb, you did climb up 50 feet. That's a real number, but you are back where you started. So it's very difficult to estimate the impact of the base of X is. What would the inflation have been if we didn't even have a crash? No one really knows the answer to that. Some analysts go back to 2019. Let's not do year every year. Let's look at a 2-year frame because 2 years ago the pandemic wasn't here. You divide it in half. You don't look at 2 years inflation but use 2019 as your base. That seems like a legitimate method. Other people are using estimates, etc. But the bottom line is that the best estimates are the base effects account for about half of the reported inflation. Do if you see a number like 4%, that's about what it was. It was really only 2% kind of new inflation and 2% base effects. The importance of the base effects, it is not real. It is not sustainable because what's going to happen? We are going to get to August, September, October of this year, says Jim. At that point, your Europa year comparison is going to be August, September, October of 2020. The economy grew 34% at an annualized rate, and not only is there not going to be a base effect in the negative sense, You are going to see some strong numbers from the year before, which it is going to make the year-over-year comparison much more tame. Jim says that inflation is a basket. Americans tend to judge everything by the price of gasoline. So they go to the pump and gasoline used to be $2.50 a gallon. Now it's $4.50 a gallon. They go see, there's your inflation. Gasoline prices are up, prices the grocery store are up. But then people forget, consumer electrics are down, tuition is down, healthcare is down, clothing is down. So it's a basket, and the number was hot striped out the base effects. And it was a little strong, but not nearly as much as it was before the base effects. But it's a basket of things. Some went up and some went down. So the things that were going up, independent of the base effects, automobiles. The reason automobiles are going up is semiconductors. We couldn't get the semiconductors from Taiwan. By the way, Taiwan is the main manufacturer. So a lot of things that were going up, consumer durables, automobiles, etc. It wasn't because they couldn't get steel or whatever they need to make refrigerators, because they couldn't get semiconductors. That's temporary, it's a big deal. There are supply chain delays, but they are being worked out. So between the base effects, which are definitely temporary, and the supply chain effects, semiconductors in particular, which are likely temporary, and strong growth in the third quarter of 2020, which is going to be our base when we get into the third quarter of 2021. This inflation is just going to go away. If you really thought inflation was going to go away, you are going to buy bonds. You are going to buy the 10-year treasury note. Residential real estate is probably going to go up. You have to look at the yield of maturity on the 10-year treasury note. That's our benchmark security. If you are making investment decisions, you are buying a house, you are doing capital investing. These are all 5 to 10, sometimes 20-year decisions. The 10-year note is the right benchmark for those large long investments. That's an alternative place to put money. What's been true since last summer, August of 2020? As the yield of maturity in the 10-year note goes up, gold prices have that strengthens the dollar, and gold prices have gone down because the dollar price of gold is just another cross rate, just another cross exchange rate. So a stronger dollar means a lower dollar price for gold. But if the yield maturity in the 10-year note goes down, because then that weakens the dollar, and the dollar price of gold goes up, because a weakened dollar means a higher dollar price for gold. So curiously, the price of gold is being driven not by inflation in the abstract, but by the strength of the dollar, which is reciprocal to the interest rate on the 10-year treasury note, concludes Gem Records. So guys, here is the end of this beautiful video. Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And also share this video with your financial friends, like it and subscribe to our channel. Bye bye and have fun.